Awesome. So, well, welcome. We have a small group today, and I'm just going to go over a little bit about the Hub program, and then I want to hear, and we're going to hear from Julia Kress, who's at the Fondren Library at Rice University, and is a current Hub. Fondren Library is a current climate resilience hub, so she's going to speak a bit about her experience. Um, I'll talk about some next steps for if you do decide to join the program, and then have time for questions. And I want to hear also what interests you about the program, um, and yeah, what you're wondering about. Um, and for people just joining there, if you want closed captions at the bottom, there's like a little CC button, just click that and you can get captions. So I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, does everybody see those slides? Awesome. Okay, so a little bit about CREW, which is the organization that I work for that hosts the Climate Resilience Hub program. CREW is a nonprofit based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We're about 3 years old, and our mission is to build equitable, inclusive neighborhood climate resilience through education, service, and planning. So we we see in the climate movement that a lot of the people who participate or are most active in it are not necessarily the ones that are most affected by extreme weather events. So um, part of our mission is to get the people who are most impacted, the most vulnerable communities to those weather events, involved in the planning for it and involved in having a say in how they want to see climate action being done. Um, and we focus not so much on the mitigation side, which would be like reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but CREW focuses on how people can adapt to climate change and the weather events um, that come with it. So we're part of a larger organization called Better Future Project, which has 3 different branches. 350 Massachusetts is one, Divest Ed, and then CREW is the newest branch. And Better Future Project works on climate change more holistically, including political action and including mitigation, not just adaptation. But CREW really focuses on the adaptation piece and staying nonpartisan to reach everybody that um, is impacted by climate change. So climate resilience hubs is one program of CREW, and the hubs are community institutions that help people prepare for and respond to extreme weather events. Right now, all of our hubs are focused mainly on education and outreach. There are some that do direct service during emergencies as well, but through our program officially, um, like we can support them the most right now in educating people about extreme weather events and doing some outreach to their community. And I'll get into that more in a minute. But these are two current hubs that we have: St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Boston, and then Evanston Public Library near Chicago. So right now we have 65 climate resilience hubs. Um, about a third of them are in Massachusetts, the rest in other states, and one in Ontario, Canada. Most of them are libraries because of 2 partnerships that we have with the American Library Association and the Massachusetts library system. But we are getting some more faith communities on board, and hoping to get other organizations like schools as well. We have a few nature centers on board too right now. And then if you go to our website, you can see a map with that you can zoom in and zoom out and see what the hubs are. So there are three main requirements that we have to be a hub. The first one is displaying a window decal saying that you are a hub, and that's what's pictured here on top. And if you do decide to sign on and become a hub, we mail that to you. The second is making climate preparedness information available to visitors. So crew can provide digital copies of different brochures. We also have some presentations and reading lists and a movie list. And so we ask that either you print them out and make paper copies available, or that you make the digital copies available to people. Right now, we're not able to print them and distribute them, but if that is an issue to print them and you want to, let us know and we might be able to work with you to do that. And then the third thing is to host at least one event each year related to climate preparedness. So we have pretty loose guidelines for that. Just any event that you think will help prepare your community for the impacts of climate change. That's a great event to hold. And beyond that, like beyond those three things, it's really up to you because you know your community best. And while we can provide guidelines, we really want to make it so that you have the freedom to do whatever you want with the program, sort of like take it and run with it. And the reason I said these are the three main guidelines is because we have like some other things like designating a contact person for crew, filling out a survey each year, and then just generally committing to to thinking about equity and thinking about climate preparedness in the work that you do. And after this, I'll be sending you an MOU that you can look at, a memorandum of understanding that has like all the requirements laid out, and you can see if this is something that fits. But these are the main three. So we have in the future, we're hoping to have 3 different levels of hubs. Right now, we only have the first level operating, and that's where our current sites are. So we support them in the education and engagement side. But in the future, we're also hoping to have 2 other levels, which is the second one would provide do the functions of the first level, so education and engagement, but also provide direct support. So for instance, some of the libraries that are hubs currently provide air conditioning during heat waves, or they'll provide electricity during a brownout or blackout. So when like, at least brownout, so when some of the power goes out in the city, or like there's like partial power, they'll provide, some of them will provide that. Or places to charge people's phones and stuff. But right now we're not doing that formally through the program. It's just something that they do on the side. But in the future, we're working on getting the requirements, like figuring out what we want to be the requirements for the second level and getting that up and running and being able to support hubs. But right now it's just the first level. We're not there yet. And then the third level would be doing all of that plus being an overnight shelter. So right now we encourage hubs, if you want to provide direct support and you don't currently, to contact your local emergency managers and work with them to see what their requirements are and how maybe you could support them. Those would often be in a city, there's often an office of emergency management. In a town, a smaller town, it's often the fire chief or police chief, and we could help you connect with that if you're interested. And then in terms of the support that crew provides for hubs, we have some brochures and event ideas, book lists, videos that I mentioned, and I'll just go really quickly to our Google Drive. So these are some of the resources that we have right now. We have some of them in Spanish and Portuguese so far, but we have the most in English. So a lot of these are about what to do in specific weather events. So like this one is about a heat wave, and most of them will say like before the event, during the event, and after the event, as well as some basic information. So stay cool, stay hydrated, how to reduce risks. This one doesn't have the before, during, and after, but it has like just general information about heat-related sickness. I'll show you one more. This is one for floods, has some general information. This does have the before, during, and after. And then we have some brochures are about specific groups like older adults in extreme weather and people with disabilities in extreme weather. And then like we have one on how to check in on your neighbors, like how to set up a phone tree and stuff like that. But for the sake of time, other support, we provide the decal sticker. We have hub meetings every other month that you can attend. It's not required, but good to meet other people and get updates. And then a listserv to communicate with hubs. So I'm going to turn it over to Julia Kress, who's a librarian at Fondren Library at Rice University, to talk a bit about her experience in the Hub program. So thanks so much for being with us, Julia.
Sure, I'm glad to be here. Last August, I was able to get our library designated as a Crew Climate Resilience Hub for the Houston area. And, you know, we've already had all these extreme weather events since then. It's like a week after we signed the MOU, it was, I think it was Hurricane Laura that didn't hit us, but that was actually one of the scariest. I lived in Houston for 7 years. Permanently, my dad lived here, so I've been coming here a long time, but it was just crazy getting ready for that. And all the resources have been really nice. Like right now we're under a flood watch till Thursday. It's only stage 2, which isn't that big of a deal here, but you know, that means some areas are going to get probably 10 inches of rain at potentially one point, right? But it's really good to feel like we're getting prepared and we're educating, and we're also trying to take some action if we can. But so far, it's really been based on educating. And I serve as a designated Crew Hub Liaison for the library. And it's been really great dealing with Margaret, and then Vernon Walker too. He's in charge of Crew, and he is really dynamic and a really good speaker. And so we've been spreading the word in various ways. One thing I first did was create a library display table, and Crew, you know, we got all these helpful brochures, and so we've put that out there, and people can take those brochures. They are also available digitally online, which I'll get to in a minute. And then the next thing that we did was in December, Crew manager Vernon Walker gave an invigorating talk, and I have put the, you can see on the left side, the flyer for that. It was Finding Hope in Extreme Weather. And that was really well attended. We had probably 45 people on, maybe close to 50. And then last month, which was our most successful event so far. And it's going to be our annual event. We held it during Earth Week. I didn't want to do it on Earth Day because everybody has so many plans. So we did it 2 days before. And it on the right is the flyer for that, getting ready for extreme weather, community preparedness for climate disasters. We're going to offer this every year in April because June 1st is when hurricane season starts. And for sure, this is going to be our one signature crew event we have every year. We may have more, depending on what we're doing with it. But this one was super successful. We had 88 people sign up for it and close to 60 people on. And I was lucky because I got a local expert, Jim Blackburn, who works at Rice. He's a professor, but he's also really well known in the Houston area. And he was able to discuss current events in Houston regarding flooding information. He gave a new talk, which was really nice. You know, and obviously very local to our community, but I also think important for other communities that are near the ocean, right? Because of climate change. And after he talked, I shared tips about how to be prepared for emergency weather conditions. What I'm thinking is that every year I'm going to kind of focus on something different. This was kind of the intro, so I kind of did an overview, but I'm thinking maybe next year I'll focus on one thing and hopefully get Jim or somebody else. I had reached out to the city of Houston to see if their emergency manager would be interested. But I think with COVID and everything, it was, I never heard back from them, but I actually did get in the mail all these brochures that the city of Houston has. And they have that brochure available electronically. So I've shared that with people. And I did set up a library website, and it is on the bottom here. It's a Climate Resilience Hub is the name of it. And then I also set up a LibGuide, which has information. Now, I just kind of created these last month, so I'm hoping this summer to make them even have more resources. I think the key is to find helpful information that isn't duplicative, right? So in conjunction with our library being a climate resilience hub, I am also updating Fondren's emergency plan. And I know not everyone might be from libraries, but what I'm finding is that most libraries have a preservation plan, but they don't have a plan about what you do ahead of time. Our plan is mainly a preservation plan. There are some things that talk about preparation, but not to the extent that we need to think about it right now with extreme weather. So I think it's really exciting to be working on this. I love to help people. And I actually submitted a conference topic to the American Libraries Association annual conference, and it was accepted. And it's called The Power Went Out, Who You Gonna Call? Being Prepared for Library Emergencies and Communicating Quickly. So that'll be in June, and it is going to be videotaped. And if I'm allowed to share it, I will share it with you. I'm going to put my email in the chat, but it is also, my email is located on our Climate Hub Resilience website too. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions. I feel like we're just at the beginning of exploring how this can help our community, being part of Crew. But we're all, the library, we put up our stickers. We actually, Margaret gave us 2 because we have 2 entrances. So we're just starting to spread the word, and we're looking forward to getting more involved.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julia. This is really great to hear about your experience, and I'm hoping to see your talk because it sounds really interesting.
If I can, I'll send it to you.
Thanks. So the next steps, if you're interested and you decide to take the next steps to become a hub, we have an MOU that we'll send out to you after this call, and you can read it over and sign off on it. It says like what you agree to, what crew agrees to, and what we together agreed to. And then filling out a quick application form. I should really just put information form because it's just like to get your information and make sure that we're resourcing you well, like for instance, like what languages people speak in your community, and like your address and stuff like that. And then if like for anybody who's gonna be watching this after, on YouTube, like either attending one of the info sessions or reaching out to me and just having like a 15-minute call or something, just so we get to meet each other. That would be also the next step. But people on this call, that's like you're ready to sign the MOU and the application. This is more details about like what the hub agrees to. It's the 3 main requirements plus like generally thinking about equity and keeping people updated, designating the hub liaison, filling out an annual survey. I'll leave this up for a minute so people can read it.
And Margaret, while everyone's reading that, I'll just jump in and say that when we had Storm Uri earlier this year, that disaster, right? I don't live close enough to the library, but Lisa Spiro, who is, works at Fondren Library, she was actually able to open the library as a warming hub for students to, whose electricity was out or whatever. So, there are great ways that on the, it wasn't like we were able to advertise it, to the community or anything like that, but we were able to help at least our local community in some way. So there's sometimes ways that you don't even think about. And she realized she could do that and lives close to campus. And so that was, that was neat. She said there were people that took advantage of it. So
neat. That's really awesome. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go through these slides of what crew agrees to and what we together agrees to. Or I'll just say it's pretty general, like committing to upholding climate resilience and communicating with each other and stuff like that. But I want to make sure we have time for your questions, so I'm going to stop sharing. I'll put my email and phone in the chat. So the session ends at 12:30 or 12:30 Eastern time. And so I'm gonna say if you have any questions for Julia, let's do those first, and then I'll be staying on after 12:30 to take any questions that that people have for me, and you can also email me. So any questions, just go right ahead.
you can put them in chat or ask. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'll jump in. Nice to meet you both. This is great. And it's great to hear from someone who's actually doing it. And I wonder if you're finding that people, as they start to get engaged or start to get a little bit of information, they come back. Are you seeing, a lot of the same people wanting more information, or is it kind of fresh faces every time?
That's a good question. I would need to go look back at who came to the event in December versus April. The thing that I found is the April event, I got so many emails after the fact, and then I would see that people tried to sign on at the wrong time because they got confused, like even up to a week after. And I think that people get confused by all the information that they get from everywhere. So when someone says, hey, I want to talk to you about how you can get prepared, they really are interested. And I even had a dean email me and say, she wanted the recording because of the students on campus. Like, they don't know how to prepare and what to do. And I think being in Houston, because, we have had, even just this year, so many extreme weather events. It's really important. And so I would say that, you know, there was interest for sure in Vernon Walker's talk, but it was really the information about how to prepare for an extreme weather event that really I saw so much interest. And so I think that that there's a real need for people to get this information. And what I love about this program is that it's connecting the community also with government resources too, and providing a place, kind of one-stop shopping. I mean, that's what I'm hoping that our website can be. I just have to carefully curate what I put on the website so it's not information overload and it's not duplicative. And that's where Crew comes in with their brochures, because their brochures are really helpful and they have a lot of good information in them. And I think that just having information and having a plan makes everyone feel more calm when something happens. You know, when Storm Uri hit here, we knew this extreme cold weather was coming. I'm from Chicago. I was like, oh, no big deal. My last year in Chicago, it was like 35 below with wind chill factor. I'm like, I didn't stock up on gas. I already have my emergency supplies for hurricanes, you know, so I already had my water and food, but I didn't do any shopping. And it was worse almost than the hurricanes I've been through here. I mean, not Harvey, but, you know, it was because we lost electricity and then there were lines for gas. I mean, it was surreal. But having information and now having been through that, I feel like I can educate people better about it too, what to do.
Other questions for Julia? And we can, actually, I'm gonna stop recording and then